Daines of also Montana is recognized.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to start by associating myself with Senator Tim Scott's remarks, as I also take issue with the characterization of abortion as a way to boost the economy. When I think about the loss of 63 million lives that have been lost to abortion in the United States over the past 50 years, I think of how many more scientists, engineers, farmers, teachers, artists, doctors that our nation could have and should have. And I think that look at low birth rates coupled with an aging population are a threat to our future economic prosperity. So I just want to state that I fervently disagree with your prior characterization. Now turning to my remarks. Secretary Yellen, I believe the Treasury has done a good job ratcheting up sanctions over the past several months, but I don't believe we're moving fast enough. Ukraine has proven they're very capable of winning this war, and we must do everything we can to ensure that they not only win, but they win as soon as possible to stop the ongoing atrocities and the war crimes being committed by Vladimir Putin. Our current sanction regime is full of holes, and enforcing entities that are currently sanctioned is severely lacking. Today, online commercial registry data allows sanctioned entities to be monitored in near real time. And this data is publicly available to Treasury's Office of Foreign Assets Controls. I do believe the use of real-time data needs to be stepped up in a significant manner. I also think sanctions need to be personalized to Putin. He spent decades building a massive commercial and financial network with money hidden all over the world. We need to act swiftly, deliberately in working with the international community to pursue these illicit financial assets. I did send a letter to you yesterday which outlines specific steps I believe should be taken in short order. Namely, I believe we should take the following actions. Here's a few. Designate Bank Rosia and all of its related entities as a primary money laundering concern under Section 311 of the Patriot Act. Second, revise the 50% rule to provide the OFAC more flexibility. And third, levy new sanctions on Gazprom, Gazprom Bank, and Rosneft. I recognize these actions come with trade-offs, but I believe a prolonged war in which war crimes that I personally witnessed myself in Bucha a few weeks ago are repeated in city after city is simply an unacceptable outcome. My question, Secretary Yellen, I know the letter was just sent yesterday, if you've had a chance to read that letter, and whether Treasury would consider and would take any of these actions, and if not, why?
Well, Senator, first of all, we are working very closely with our allies to remain coordinated on sanctions. We're in the process of ratcheting up sanctions, and periodically, almost every week, we've announced further steps to tighten our sanctions. So we wish to take every action that we possibly can to raise the pain to Russia and to end this war as soon as possible. Yeah, I haven't had a chance to look at your letter.
Thank you.
I will do so. My staff can get back to you to discuss.
Thank you. We've got some very specific actions I'd like you to consider recommending.
It's a valuable set of suggestions.
Yeah, and I think also we've got to continue to think about what a prolonged conflict might have on our financial stability and the world's financial stability as we see what's going on right now in terms of energy and as well as food security. You know, Russia's occupying the port city of Kherson. And they aim to control Odessa. In the last 48 hours, we've had significant attacks here on Odessa and, of course, the Black Sea. Given that Ukraine and Russia produce more than a quarter of the global wheat supply, Ukraine alone is 10%. They're equivalent to the United States in terms of global wheat exports. What will happen if the production and the export of the food supply here from that part of the world is taken offline for years?
Senator, we're terribly concerned about global food supplies. The IMF World Bank meetings were here a couple of weeks ago, and I convened a meeting of the heads of all the multilateral development banks and finance ministers to discuss this issue, to come up with an action plan. We have 275 million people globally who are at risk in terms of starvation.
That letter I sent is meant to be helpful in trying to look at some other targeted sanctions here to continue to ratchet up the pressure here so the Ukrainians can win this war.
We share your goal here.
Thank you. I want to switch to a question on cyber. Senator Tester brought this up too. I believe that Treasury and FSOC are not placing enough emphasis on cybersecurity. as it is a threat to our financial stability. I just spent a couple hours at Fort Meade with General Nakasone to see this firsthand in the classified brief. But in your testimony, you spent 158 words talking about climate-related financial risk. By comparison, you spent 1 word discussing cybersecurity. So do you believe that climate change poses orders of magnitude greater threats to financial stability than the threat posed by inadequate cybersecurity?
Cyber is a critical risk. We identify it
But
as
158
such in the
times
report.
climate change,
Climate change hasn't ever previously received attention by FSOC, and from a long-run standpoint, over decades, it's as great or greater risk to humanity. It's certainly on a level with cybersecurity, and I think it's appropriate for us to ratchet up attention given that it's received so little, but not trying to say that cybersecurity isn't an utterly critical risk. It is.
Okay. 158 to 1 sends a pretty strong message, but thank you.
Thanks, Senator Daines. Senator Warnock from Georgia is recognized.
Thank you so very much, Chairman Brown, and thank you, Secretary Yellen, for testifying before the committee. As I was saying last week, one of the most effective things that the President of the United States can do